All right, it's time for the college football picks. My picks for week number 4. Last week went 7-3, down a game from week 2, but still a decent week. This week, some big matchups, particularly in conference, starting to get into the heart of conference play. Now let's get right into the picks with the 10. It's a Pac-12 matchup. Oregon on the road over U of A. U of A taking a loss was my 10 pick last week. They hung around with Stanford for a little bit, like I thought they would, but just not enough depth for U of A to hang around with these elite teams, especially a team like Oregon. Everybody knows that up tempo, that run game, hit you from any angle, anytime. Probably the best all-around running back core in the nation, one of them at least, with Barner and James, and you add Thomas to the mix, and he can beat a team with his arm. I think Oregon's just going to run all over U of A again. First half may be close, but Oregon pulling away in the second half. Now my 9 pick, Ohio State to bounce back at home over Colorado. Last week they're completely outplayed by Miami. Particularly, it was the speed of Miami. Getting one of the fastest guys on their team back, Sean Spence. Offensively, Benjamin, they couldn't, trying to get him in when Miami did get him in the mix, they couldn't stop him. Lamar Miller up the middle. But a team like Colorado, nowhere near the athleticism or speed, individual talent that Miami has. And the game being at Ohio State at the Horseshoe, I think they're going to come out with a vengeance and just trample Colorado, physically dominate Colorado in this game. Now my 8 pick. Now the rest of these, even though like they're high confidence, they could easily be a 1. My 8 pick is LSU on the road over West Virginia, the game of the week. Now West Virginia, last year they couldn't get the ball in the end zone. This year it's no problem with Dana Holgerson. Quarterback Geno Smith has really shined in that Trey offense. The 3 running backs in the backfield at once really keeps the defensive front 7 guessing. Really benefits a player like Geno Smith, and their offense is just outstanding. But this defense of LSU's is unlike any other in the nation. Speed-wise, they're deep, so their next 11, one at each spot can come in and do just as good. Probably the most athletic defensive line in the nation, one of the best secondaries in the nation. You cannot go laterally against this team. You have to go vertical, up and down in between the tackles, because you're not going to get anywhere trying to go horizontal against this defense. And Jarrett Lee, to everybody's surprise, has been extremely efficient at quarterback. So if they keep him in there, which they should, he has been getting the job done, very efficient, not turning the ball over, doing what he needs to do, letting his playmakers take care of the ball. A strong run game with Ware in between the tackles. LSU is definitely one of the best teams in the nation with that defense. Now my 7 pick, Alabama at home over Arkansas. Alabama, another great defense from the SEC and the nation. Arkansas, of course, the injury to Nile Davis is going to hurt them in a game like this. You need a versatile player out of the backfield when you're going against a defense like Alabama. But, they got Tyler Wilson, a gunslinger, the best receiving core in the nation, Greg Childs, Jarius Wright, to name just among the others. But the Alabama defense, I think, is too good at home. And with the offense, Trent Richardson, one of the best backs in the nation, of course, very powerful. Nearly all his yards come after contact. So it's going to take more than one guy or the first hit to take this guy down. Arkansas is going to have to come with multiple blitzes. But, that can hurt you with a running team like Alabama, so they've got to be careful with it. But I like Alabama at home, even though Arkansas does have a lot of firepower, even without Nile Davis. I think the defense of Alabama is going to carry him a long way this year. Now with my 6th pick, Notre Dame over Pitt. The game is in Pittsburgh. They do have the top rusher, Ray Graham, one of the top rushers in the nation. They were shocked last week going into Iowa. Iowa came back and beat Pitt. But this game, Notre Dame, after manhandling Michigan State for the first time, and who can remember, 31-13, they've seemed to got their swagger back. Like I said, they outplayed arguably the first two teams they lost to. It was the turnovers that did them in. Now they outplayed Michigan State, walked away with the victory, got a little confidence. I think they can go on the road and handle Pittsburgh. It'll be a tough game. Tyler Reese and Michael Floyd, great combination. That defensive front seven of Notre Dame is playing great. They're going to have to, like I said, against Ray Graham and Pitt. But I like Notre Dame on the road with the 6th pick. Carry that confidence on this week. Now my 5 pick, Florida State on the road over Clemson. This is a intriguing matchup. Clemson looked like they weren't, they struggled with their first two teams, even though they were wins against relatively cupcake teams. Then they welcome Auburn and completely smash Auburn the final 3 quarters. Completely outplay them. First quarter, a different story. Taj Boyd looking real good with Clemson at quarterback. A lot of speedsters, a lot of young talent on the outside for Clemson. Very fast team. But on the other side of the ball, you have a as fast or faster team with Florida State, who looked really good, even in a loss to Oklahoma. When E.J. Manuel got hurt, the redshirt freshman Clint Trickett stepped in. The guy was slinging the ball all over. He didn't know how to handle the blitz at times, but like I said, it was his first game experience against the number 1 team in the nation. That's to be expected. All that considered, the guy did an amazing job. Now I know they're looking at E.J. Manuel's shoulder. I don't know what's going to go on as of right now at the quarterback situation, or at least I haven't heard anything. But I think Florida State, even in that loss to Oklahoma, they show that they're one of the best teams in the nation. I like Florida State. Clemson, one of those teams that are inconsistent. One week look really good, which they did last week. Next week, just bomb. Florida State looks like they're going to be a consistent team all year. I like Florida State to bounce back against Clemson, walk away with the win no matter who's at quarterback, what they decide to do there. But Florida State on the road. Now my 4 pick, Michigan at home in the Big House over San Diego State. San Diego State's a team that's going to be able to score against the Michigan defense. Denard Robinson's going to have to, again, outscore the opposing team. Last week, it was an inferior opponent, far inferior Eastern Michigan, but he did it with his legs. I think they're learning that in order for Michigan to have success, you're going to have to let Denard Robinson do what he does best, which is gain yards with his feet. When he does that, he's the most electric player in the nation. But I like Michigan at home to go 4-0 against San Diego State. But it should be a lot of touchdowns in that game. Now my 3 pick, Arizona State at home over USC. Now Arizona State, a couple weeks ago when they beat Missouri, one of the biggest wins they've had in a few years. I think it was the first ranked team they beat since 2007. And what worried me going on the road to Illinois was that letdown game. That's what happened. Illinois, probably the most athletic team, or one of the most athletic teams in the Big Ten, was able to keep up with their playmakers on the outside. But now ASU is coming back home. Their Pac-12 opener against USC. They haven't beaten USC in a long time. This is the year to do it. Like I said, loaded with seniors, loaded with individual talent. Confident quarterback, Brock Osweiler, got a little flustered last week. Best defensive front 7 in the Pac-12. Talked about it a little bit last week with Junior Onyeli being a good, strong run supporter, can still get after the passer. Of course, Vontaze Burfict, probably the best middle linebacker in the nation. Needs to control his emotions. Of course, he's done that better this year. Still plays at times over-aggressive. But I like ASU to bounce back, go 3-1. They're my favorite to win the Pac-12. This is going to be a big test for them, but they are at home. Going to be an angry team after that tough loss to Illinois. Now my 2 pick, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at home over North Carolina. Both teams undefeated. Georgia Tech's set some records last week with that ground attack. I know it was against Kansas. I think they're going to do the same against North Carolina. It's going to be tough for any team. They're going to have to really man up in the trenches to stop this Georgia Tech run attack. It's that case every year with Georgia Tech. And the ACC, always the toughest to pick in my opinion. Very unpredictable, the most unpredictable conference. But I still like Georgia Tech to go 4-0 this week. Now my one confidence, I think the game of the week right up there with LSU, West Virginia, Oklahoma State at Texas A&M. I'm going with the Cowboys. Texas A&M, it's going to be a tough game. Texas A&M probably has the best trio of offensive players in the nation with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, Cyrus Gray, and Jeff Fuller. Jeff Fuller, great prospect at the wide receiver position for the NFL. But Oklahoma State with Justin Blackmon, I think he's the best receiver they've had there in a long time. I think he was better than when Dez Bryant was there. The guy can score from anywhere at any time, any point in the game from any spot on the field. Very dangerous. He and Brandon Weeden, one of the best connections in college football. Some people were worried when Dana Holgorsen left, Oklahoma State wouldn't be able to put up the same amount of points or yards. So far they've done it. This is going to be their first really true test. They did go run over U of A, but I think Texas A&M is going to be a tougher test, especially on the road. The defense has to step up from last year. We'll see. Like I said, Texas A&M's got that really tough offensive trio, really talented. But Oklahoma State, they've come kind of balanced the offensive attack a little bit more, which I think has helped out definitely in the passing game. You know, trying to establish the running game, open it up on the outside with Justin Blackmon. But I like Oklahoma State in a tough one. So those are my picks for Week 4. A tough week again. Oregon, Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Notre Dame, Florida State, Michigan, Arizona State, Georgia Tech, and Oklahoma State with the wins. So there you have it for Week 4.